Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So a lot of you have been asking me, how did you make the Essence Drain Contagion bow and how did you get access to it so early in the league? As long as you're not too horribly unlucky, it isn't that bad. You're going to need an investment of roughly 5 Exalt to get this bow, and that isn't really changed much by the economy. That is the crafting cost of the bow itself. Remember, if you like my content, make sure to subscribe and don't forget the bell as well for notifications so you can be the first to know when I post a new video. Now, let's move into game. So this is my Essence Drain character. Corona Time Boy is aptly named for all of the things that are going on right now. So you can see here, this is Torment Stinger. This is the +6 to level of Essence Drain bow that I spoke of. So this right here has +1 to level of socketed gems, +2 to level of socketed support gems, and 38% to chaos damage over time multiplier. Now the reason that this is +6 has to do with the way that those modifiers work with Empower. So this is a level 3 Empower, and this gains both +2 to levels of socketed support gems as well as +1 to level of the socketed gems itself. Therefore, it gives 5 to the levels of socketed active gems. Now Essence Drain itself, mine is level 21, that's why it's up to 27. However, Essence Drain itself also gets the +1 to the level of socketed gem modifier. Now, how do you actually make this bow? So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to grab the Porcupine Divination cards. This gives you a 6-link short bow. The next thing that you're going to do is color this bow to be 3 blue, 2 green, and 1 red. Those are the ideal socket colors for the links for Essence Drain. The next part is going to take a little bit of time. You're going to need to use alteration orbs and roll the bow until you get the prefix modifier Paragons, which gives you +1 to level of socketed gems. After you get that modifier on the bow itself, what you're going to do is you're going to hope that the bow only has that modifier and no other modifiers, and then you're going to regal the bow. After you regal the bow, it should give you either a suffix or a prefix. If you manage to get one with no extra prefixes besides the paragons, then you can move on to the next step, which I'll talk about in a moment. However, if you do end up getting a prefix, you're going to need to use an annulment orb to hopefully remove that, or start the bow over again until you can regal and only have the one prefix. The next step after you do that is that you're going to go over to your crafting bench. You're going to take the bow, you'll look up 3 crafted modifiers. This costs 2 Exalt. You'll craft this onto the bow. You're going to look up +2 to level of socketed support gems. This costs 2 Exalt as well. And then you're going to look up chaos damage over time multiplier, craft that to the bow, and you're done. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I don't have any of those crafts and I don't know how to get them, and I've been trying to get crafts unlocked this entire league and I have nothing. So there is kind of a skip. It only works for trade leagues, so solo self-found boys play a better league. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to go over to the Path of Exile trade website. Now, once you're at the Path of Exile trade website, something that a lot of people don't actually know is you can filter by the type of veiled modifier that it is. So the one that we're looking for specifically the +2 to support gems is the Katarina's Veiled modifier. You'll select Katarina's Veiled and you'll just search for anything here. Now, any of these will work. I personally use the Bitterbind shield that can drop from her, but anything here will work. You're simply looking for Katarina's Veiled. Now, the main thing that I would keep a lookout for is this is a prefix modifier, so make sure that the item doesn't have maxed out prefixes. If it does, you're not actually going to be able to get the one that you're looking for. Buy these items, unveil them until you get the +2 to socketed support gems. I got lucky and got it on my 3rd one. You may have a different experience, but it generally doesn't take too horribly long. After you do this, the next thing is going to be a little bit more time consuming, and that is going to be unlocking chaos damage over time multiplier. There are 3 tiers to this, and I do recommend that you get the highest tier before you put it on your bow, as you won't be able to undo it. So what you're going to do is you're simply going to look for veiled items, and you can do this one of 2 ways or both. You can do 2-handed melee weapons. You'll go down here, you'll hit search, and you'll just buy anything that is 1 or 2 chaos is about the limit that I set for myself. You can activate live search to make this easier for you. And you can also do this with bows. So you could set up 2 live searches if you like, one for 2-handed melee, one for bows. You keep buying bows and you keep unveiling them until you get the modifier that you need. I think off the top of my head, it takes roughly 8 unveilings of chaos damage multiplier to get the 3rd tier of it. I do suggest waiting until you get the 3rd tier. I personally had to spend about 35-40 chaos to get the full unveiled. So the last thing that you're going to need is you're going to need to be able to craft 3 crafted modifiers. The way that you do that is through these pieces here in fragments and sets. This takes you to the Pale Court. It's kind of like an in-game map zone that has a unique boss encounter, and once you finish the boss encounter, you'll get access to the 3 crafted modifiers. These here should cost you maybe a total of 20 chaos at most. Purchase these 4 fragments, or the keys as you call them, slot them into the map device, and you should get your 3 crafted modifiers. Once you have all of those, you're pretty much finished. You'll be able to have your bow, and this is the easiest and second best bow that you can possibly get for this build. The very best bow requires a lot of luck, and it honestly isn't too much better. The only difference that you're going to get is you can use the Mariketh bow that has the movement speed implicit, and you can also get another modifier on the bow that's damage over time multiplier, so that'll give you a little bit more multiplier, but that bow is infinitely harder to craft, and honestly, for the amount of struggle that it requires to get, really isn't worth it. With this bow and maybe another Exalt worth of gear, you should be able to complete basically the entire game. This can handle all the way up to tier 15-16 Delirium mobs, all the way up to the max level of Delirium. And even before the Simulacrum got nerfed, I made it all the way up to 19, and I was actually able to somewhat fight Kosis, but you can go check out my other video on how that went. That's been nerfed now, so hopefully that's a little bit easier. But this can handle basically everything in the game for around a 5 Exalt investment. With all that being said, I am going to be making a full guide on the Essence Drain Contagion character now that I've actually used it in the Delirium leak. I have a starter guide video for the Essence Drain character, which is on my channel. However, that was before I actually went through and learned how the Delirium mechanic works, so I'm a little bit better informed, and I'm going to make a little bit better video, specifically for Essence Drain. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel and this video helped you out, and that's going to be it for me. So take care, look out for that Essence Drain Contagion guide coming in the future, and I'll see you next time.